All right, it's Friday, August 11th, a couple hours before the market opens. I've been busy for a lot of the week, so I just thought I'd shoot kind of a recap video here. There's one day to go here in the week, and I'll get back more into normal postings next week. But in terms of just a whole recap of what's unfolded this week, you can see here in the big picture daily chart, we've kind of come up and we're just still in a pullback mode a little bit. On the weekly chart, after that big red week last week, we discussed how we were looking to take out those lows. It was a 2-down week just since it was really big. Red bar, we're expecting to take out those lows, and there's some other targets down here, possibly if we were to build momentum. But and then the monthly chart, we're still inside on the prior month, but definitely the continuity is red. So until we, either break above the open of this month to the upside, or we have a weekly reversal in here that anticipates taking out that open to make this month green, we're still kind of red on the month, and we're kind of seeing if we get a 2-down month by the end of August. But the continuity is definitely to the downside. That's the key at the moment until this weekly chart reverses. We have one more day to go in this weekly chart. We'll see where this bar closes today. If it's neutral in some form with a little red bias, maybe we'll expect lower, but we can start above the midpoint of that bar and head higher and have a 2-up weekly bar, and that would kind of anticipate the monthly bar maybe turning green. But that's why I kind of watch the weekly chart at this point. But you can see the continuities to the downside. Any little rally here just held the midpoint of that prior week, and we're continuing lower. So the bias is down. So with that in mind, let's look at each day. We had a little bit of an up move here on Monday, even though we're anticipating taking out that weekly low. We finally got the weekly low taken out on Tuesday. We kind of followed through a little bit on Wednesday. Not much. And then, yesterday was an interesting day where we started up, but because of that overall continuity to the downside, we reversed and moved lower again. So on the 15-minute chart, how this all would have played out if you were kind of watching the week, these last 4 days, here was the weekly low. Here was the weekly low of last week right here. So you're always expecting that to be taken out. And the very first day of the on Monday, you didn't get that. You had a little bit of it's a big, red move down here to end Friday, and you just kind of held and, you filled in some of that inefficient pricing down here. That's all this was doing, but it was a tricky day because right out of the gates, I could see a red bar, a little pause, and then a move down on bar 3. You might have went short right there, and then immediately came out, took out the midpoint of the first bar. So you kind of, taking a small loss there. At that point, structure on the day, you took out the intraday high, you pulled back to the midpoint of that first little move and started up. So, right here, you're kind of expecting it to take out those intraday highs, but you're not really biased too big to get up here because this is really what's going to be taken out eventually. So it was a type of day where it was just consolidation after this big red move down on Friday. Anyway, then the next day, Tuesday, great day to trade in the morning. Again, always looking at the morning trades. First move down, you got that follow through. You're expecting that low to be taken out. You had a push down here, little pause. Second push didn't go. So even though it didn't follow through as much as you might have liked, you had a great morning trade here to take out those lows and then set up a no-risk trade. Next day, same thing. So, in the afternoon, this is tricky. If you would have held on all day, people might have taken losses here trying to go short, but the bias is still down. Anyway, then the next day with the bias down, the market, kind of agreed with the downward bias because it opened up, pause. This is these 4 bars just pausing after bar 1, then the breakdown was a great trade. And again, morning trade, took out your target, and this one really had nice gains in the morning. That's why you don't hold on all day. To me, if it came down through there and had a second, orderly pullback, second push down, you could have tried that. But most of the time, just taking profits on that morning trade, and then you can see it comes all the way back up, but it decides to kind of sell off at the end of the day. But the big good trade here was in the morning to take out those lows. So now you're ending up with a big red bar, but you get kind of a big gap up on the next day. So what's interesting about that is the very first move of the day, 15-minute chart started up strong, and then you follow through. So there's like a buy signal in an overall downtrend. You have a target up here that it hit, and then is it surprising in a downtrend that you kind of come up, take out some liquidity, and then start back down again? It isn't. So if you got long here, just thinking it's going to be a big reversal and this whole weekly chart's going to change to the upside, that's fine because there were targets up here, but you had to know that this trend is still down, and scale out quickly, set, and then your stop is kind of the midpoint of that first bar. So it was the type of thing where either you just stayed biased to the short side and were waiting for something, or you had to be very nimble on your long trades. You wanted to see immediate follow through, an orderly pause, and a second push. That would be the reversal, but you didn't get that. So anyway, when it came really down here, this was kind of a great opportunity to say, okay, we just took out some liquidity up here. It came all the way down. Here's your pause right here, and we're likely continuing lower for the rest of the day towards the intraday lows, and as it turns out, all the way back to the low of the range, closing red on the day. So again, it was just the type of thing where we still have a downward bias. That's why the big picture's down, and we just took out some liquidity and reversed. And then the reversal gave you an opportunity to get short again, and just anticipate some lows being taken out. You would watch market structure, and we continued all the way down for the rest of the day. So now we have a pre-market range in here so far between the blue lines. As long as, I don't know, this is a tricky day in terms of, do you expect these lows to be taken out again? It seems to be not following through too much. If we start above the midpoint of yesterday's bar, that's all the way up here. So the pre-market range isn't even up there, so we can start up, maybe take out some stops at the pre-market range and start lower again. Looks like this week wants to close red, which would mean a little follow through into next week. Those are the types of things we're looking for. I really want to see how this weekly bar closes. And then anticipate, what happens into next week. I know we're still inside on the month, and at any point we can reverse up. But until that happens, the bias to the downside. So you're kind of watching these 15-minute charts with a bias to the downside. And this week, this was a tricky day. This was a good day to trade early. This was a good day to trade early. And this was actually a good day to take a long trade and, either take a small gain or do no worse than break even and then take another short trade. So you had 3 kind of good days to the downside with the downside bias overall. So let's see how the week closes, the day closes today, how that closes the week. And again, until we get any signs of a weekly reversal, we're going to keep the bias to the downside.